Formerly, when you were interested in a supercar, one very spectacular, like this one here for example, one main aspect was always acceleration. Nowadays, with electric vehicles accelerating very quickly as well, it's maybe not the main aspect. Today it's about the purest drive, it's about low weight. And exactly this is the reason why Maserati renamed the MC20 to MCPura. Pure, puristic. And exactly this is the topic of this video. We're going to find out how pure is the drive with the 3-liter V6 biturbo in here. How much fun is it? How much supercar do you get from the new Maserati MCPura? We're going to find out with Thomas Nautical in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Spectacular supercar front. Now actually taken over from the Stradale version, from the GT2 Stradale version. And this is then a more spectacular front grille here with this mesh grille. So they made it even closer to the pure racing version, so to speak. You have also a beautiful turquoise color here for this vehicle today. Very interesting, by the way, how the attached number plate is always a thing in states or countries where you have to have this front number plate. It's kind of like critical to attach it. It's not the main focus of this car to have a front number plate, but here this was one possibility to attach it that way then. Here the length, it's not too long actually, so compact dimensions, 4.67 m or 184 inches, very low as it has to be for a supercar, 20-inch wheels. Forged one are also available. And you can see it right here, have to take extra care that you do not put any scratches on it. And here you see this updated Pura logo then right here. They also did aerodynamic optimizations, and that's why the Coupe version and the Cielo version, which we also have here, both now have the same acceleration figure with 2.9 seconds to 1 km/h or 62 miles an hour. This one is the Cielo version. I'm soon going to show you how you can actually open the roof. And key point is the weight. 1.5 tons, not more. It's actually about 200 kilograms lighter than the recently presented 911 Turbo S we've shown to you. Here the Cielo is 40 kilograms heavier because of the roof construction and so on, but still it is lightweight, and this is also the main difference to an electric vehicle that can maybe have the same acceleration figure, because the EVs are way heavier and these here still give you this more puristic driving experience. Here in the rear, I'm soon going to talk about the small trunk, and of course here the real exhaust tips here. We have also these, these perforations in there for better sound, and a lot of mesh again is being used at this vehicle. Optionally, you could also get a titanium exhaust. That one, however, would not be street legal. And here this pretty cool lift function. When the basement garage ramp is maybe too steep, then you can avoid damages to the front from the lower part. There we go. But usually more the problem is that it scratches the middle part. All right, and we want to open the roof, which takes about 12 seconds. And although this is this hardtop, you could still do that while driving up to a speed of 50 kilometers an hour. That is kind of rare. And yeah, that always looks so spectacular, doesn't it? And also special that you can actually even dim that roof. Although it is a hardtop, we're going to take a look at that one very soon. But yeah, also looks pretty spectacular when it's open, doesn't it? And here this is the Cielo function, see-through or not. It's not something that would majorly influence, like the heat or something. The heat protection is always there. This is more like if you want a little more privacy and you want a little bit darker, so to speak. Yeah, most of the time I would leave it open like this. And also, this is another interesting thing. You can also just lower this window. If you don't want to drive all the way open top, you can also lower this spider window, as they call it right here. And here, by the way, with 189, 6'2", there's still some headroom left here to the side. It's close. When I sit more like this, it's more space to the glass roof, but here to the side, it's a little bit narrow, but for me, it's still okay. What can you open here in the front? Since this is like this midship engine concept, there is no engine in the front. That's why you have this mini Frunk for documents maybe, so it's really shallow, nothing really to measure there. And since the midship engine concept brings the weight to the center of the vehicle, you can see these huge air intakes right there. And it's a 3-liter V6 twin turbo with 360 horsepower, 720 Newton meters of torque. And this is exactly what we want to experience here for you today. Now we take a look at the trunks, very interesting. Here we have a nice key fob, by the way. It's also really heavy, good quality, pressing twice. Then we also have the trunk opened, there we go. And you see, it is very shallow, like this. The length is actually not the problem. Yeah, I also measure supercar trunks. So this like 90 centimeters, 35 inches. But here it's just too shallow, so it does not fit a cabin trolley. And then here like 12 inches, 30 centimeters in height, but that's about it. This is like, for like the first aid kit and so on. So you have to use a bag for your weekend trip or something like that. You've already seen the great wing doors here in our beauty shots. Now we have it open, and you can see you can reach in here, and then they're open like this. Yeah, super beautiful. There you can also see the carbon fiber. It is a carbon fiber monocoque chassis. That's what this car is making so stiff and so light at the same time. Inside of the doors here with beautiful bright Alcantara, and then you have this handle you pull from the inside. Optional Sonos Faber sound system. We have also the speakers right there, and then you can see here the big new MCPura entry badge. And you see this like this monocoque chassis right here, really large. More Alcantara for this vehicle, Alcantara at the steering wheel, and with the Pura version you can also get a 100% Alcantara interior. This one here is an option here on the top part. I would probably go then for the 100% Alcantara. So even more of that, Sabold sport seats and the bright Alcantara I also can see here in the middle part. So that's beautifully done. More carbon fiber elements at the steering wheel and real buttons at the steering wheel as well. Here, for example, for the cruise control, this is the front lift. So you press and hold this, the front of the vehicle will go a little bit higher for basement garage and so on, and start, stop, and the launch control button here at the steering wheel. Do I still get in there in a comfortable way? Well, I mean, when the roof is open, it's even a little bit easier, so it's still quite okay, and you have to use your own technique to get inside. That's fine. Could be a little bit more space for my left foot here when you have like really long feet, then, but it still works. And then you can also easily pull this handle right here to close the door again, and there's a button from the inside how we can open it again. Yeah, always a very spectacular show-off effect. And now the cockpit here, which we can better film when the roof is open. We have more light in here, and as I said, even more Alcantara. We have Alcantara on the dashboard. That's beautifully done. And black Alcantara or microfiber then in general also comes from racing because it is lighter than animal leather, and there's also no reflection in the front windscreen. So that's why it's also very much fitting to this vehicle here. And then you also have the bright Alcantara, for example, here at the lower part. That's beautifully done. Italian flag. And here the glove box is kind of small. Also pretty cool here for racing purposes for Leah to hold on tight with her feet. There's also this metal plate then here, and then you can take a look once more here at the seats. As for the comfort, I mean, it's a supercar, so the ergonomics to me could still be better. There are some sport seats which have better ergonomics and some which you have to compromise. These ones are not the most comfortable ones to me, but the focus is of course on the sporty driving. And I can tell you, the steering wheel form here, this is really cool, how you can also grab in here, and then with the large shifting pedals here. So when I sit down here and touch the steering wheel, also with the Alcantara here, and see the start stop button, I really get this feeling I need to drive it now, like now, right now. It will soon, of course, come to that with all of the emotion included. Here, talking about emotion, you can switch the driving modes here. There's also a wet mode. It's a rear-wheel drive only vehicle, so that might be needed when it's really wet. GT mode for the general driving, and sport mode, then suspension is stiffer. There's adaptive suspension in here, and also the valve already opens at 3,500 RPM, and Corsa mode, that would be the one for the racetrack. You put in the gears right here, also in the slim middle console. Drive mode right here, reverse here, so that's it, pretty easily done. In the front there's an inductive charging pad. It's not too large though for large smartphones like Leah's here now. Then here manual volume jog still. This is to open the windows, that the inside of the door keeps clean. And then here underneath, there's then USB-A or USB-C charging, not too much space. And the problem is also that when you want to put your smartphone in here, there's no space. So it's, or you have to go like this with the cable and then put the smartphone in the rear bottle holder or something like that. And then here you can see the main infotainment unit where you basically do everything with it. Also, for example, here the roof opening process, I've done that earlier, is done here in the screen, and also for the small spider window, for example. So there's like this shortcut here in the top part. So the infotainment also could be a little bit quicker. There's seat heating available. So you see, this is not, let's say, about the modern connectivity features. It really focuses on the driving fun, definitely. And this is here the Apple CarPlay integration. Climate, however, you have to do everything in the screen right here, so there's no physical button or so for that, sadly. And here, classic columns next to the steering wheel. You can also press here and here to control something of the digital instruments to go through different modes there. And you will see while driving like this large RPM meter, which I really love. As for pricing, the Coupe now starts at 220,000 euros. The German price is actually 25,000 euros less than before. So the price gets also more pure, so to speak. However, the Cielo version, which is also to me the more desirable one, is at 260,000 euros already. And then you can still add some extras. You don't have to. And actually, maybe I wouldn't. But there are some extras you can still go for and individualizations, and that's why how it stands right here is then still at 320,000 euros. So you can either buy, Leah also signals me like, whee! You can either buy a flat or this vehicle. But it's also the typical thing that this vehicle you, of course, don't buy as a single vehicle. We show that to you also. We've shown that to you in the trunk as well. It's more an additional vehicle. That's what a supercar is for, something for the collection. But of course, still something from the collection you should drive. All right, everyone. Maserati MCPura. It's time for the German Autobahn. Oh, Leah is already stressed out. Let's see if the Leah meter gets going with this one here. Let's go. I think Leah was rather holding her breath than screaming out. Wow, that is a racing machine, definitely. And it's raw, it's loud, like everything, you know, like from the wind, from the engine. It's a raw supercar experience. Wow. So I was going to the sport mode here. There also the exhaust valve is open at 3,500 RPM. So you get the louder experience, and also the suspension is set to stiffer. Whew. Whew. Oh. Yeah, and it handles extremely well. So great feeling for the steering. And you know, guys, we soon approach a tunnel. And we can check out that raw sound in a tunnel even more. Interestingly enough, by the way, when you are in a GT mode, you can also swipe to the left. Then you can control between soft and mid from the suspension. So usually you would leave the GT mode in soft and maybe the sport mode in stiff. And to me, the most surprising thing about this vehicle here is that the suspension is super comfortable. It's really great. So keeping it very well in balance, at the same time evening out some fierce bumps and so on. Now we can also lower the window a little bit. See about this tunnel here. Shift back myself, shifting pedals. Yeah, shifting down yourself is always pretty cool. And you can get it up to RPMs a little bit better. First cornering experience, really precise from that steering gear. Whoa, that's cool. That's really awesome. But there's soon even more agile driving to come. But before that, we go one more time on the Autobahn. And more Autobahn experience. Let's go. That is like being on the Nürburgring Nordschleife now here. Wow, that is some great stuff. I mean, it really hooks to the ground. At the same time, I really have to say, the suspension is very comfortable and forgiving. So that should be a good Nürburgring Nordschleife setup, where you have a lot of bumps and so on in the road. Look at that, you know. Wow, really good feeling for the vehicle and great microfiber grip on the steering wheel. And yeah, you hear how loud and raw it is in that cabin. This is a true race car here, street legal, definitely. Brake feeling is, by the way, also racing set, so you really need to force the brake pedal, really have to push the brake pedal very, very hard. So you feel that here the development was racetrack first, then, you know, applied to the road. But gotta say, that suspension really, it's, you know, a lot of like super extreme sports cars, they have super stiff suspension. But here, it's really set out that it could also master racetracks like the Nordschleife, where you have a lot of topography changes and bumps and so on. And this again helps you also while everyday driving here with this vehicle, maybe, you know, going to the restaurant in the evening or something like that, because then you're not like bop, 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 bop all the time. You really have very good comfort from the suspension. So I would say the limiting comfort factor here is the seating, you know, seating comfort, but not the suspension. That one is really, really enjoyable. Now it's time to go up the hill, get some corners in here. Also use the shifting pedals here and open top driving, that you can hear more about the sound here, and I can also tell you more about the open top experience. It is not something that you would drive open top like with really high speeds. There's a lot of wind getting inside, so it's more something for really warm summer days. Or you go maybe, you know, just inside Monte Carlo. This is of course a typical car for that. And then it's warm enough also, but nothing like for high speeds open top driving. This one is here ideal when you have a lot of nice corners to take and you can enjoy the Spider open top driving. And then the great corners and of course all the sound experience. It is so much fun here to have the great direct steering, nice microfiber grip. There we go. Just carrying second gear easily to 100 kilometers an hour. That is very easily done, pretty cool. Yeah, I like that sporty supercar feeling they have in here. Yeah, raw, rough experience. A little bit careful here with the leaves, of course. There we go. Yeah, this is the reason why you would get this vehicle here. So much raw, pure driving fun indeed. Yeah, with its limitations, as I said, but this is the typical supercar life. And let's also go downhill. There we go. Yeah, it's just so enjoyable here also with the autumn vibes here with the leaves, like golden autumn in Germany here at this moment. So that's also very fitting to the vehicle. Again, really be careful with these leaves then when they stack up on the ground. That can be a little bit sketchy, definitely. So tell me, what would you use this car here for? Going around Monaco or taking it out for a sporty spin or on the Autobahn? Tell me in the comments. And now join in to some more supercar content like recently with the 911 Turbo S, including racetrack.